Hey, thanks for tuning into the Art of SBA Lending. We've arrived at our final episode of the St. Louis series and our final episode of the season. In closing out this season, we have none other than Paul T. Long. Paul is the SBA manager at his credit union up in the Pacific Northwest region, and he's working on building out an SBA shop. And what makes Paul so unique is his personal branding and his social media presence. It's one of the best in the industry. He's one of the most active SBA lenders in the video content creator space. And in this episode, he breaks down his why behind the videos and shares his thoughts on transparency and communication throughout the SBA loan process and provides some tips on how to improve your own lending process. So stick around. But before we get into this week's episode, I just want to share a couple updates. So as you know, this is the final episode of the season. We are taking the summer off and we will be back in the fall with new episodes. And we're going to be looking for sponsors. So if you're interested in sponsoring the podcast, please reach out to me at ray@artofsba.com. And one last thing, I can't finish the season without mentioning that the BDO retreat will be back. So follow us on LinkedIn and follow us on YouTube because that's where we're going to announce it. So I hope you enjoy this episode. Have a great summer, and thank you for continuing to support the Art of SBA Lending. So if you've been listening to this podcast for a while, you've probably heard me ask countless SBA leaders about the biggest challenges that their shops face. And there's one answer that's been given over and over again, and that is we can't find enough SBA talent. And when we do find them, we can't afford them because the salaries have skyrocketed. Somewhere along the lines, banks cut their training programs, fewer people were able to enter the industry, and folks started aging out. And now our industry is facing a talent crisis. And at the same time, our industry is growing. New shops are popping up every day, and there's just not enough people to go around. Now more than ever, we need an injection of new talent, not just to process the loans, but to pull our industry forward into the future with fresh ideas. This is why Shatterbox was created. Shatterbox is resurrecting the apprenticeship to solve the talent gap in SBA lending. Shatterbox is an in-depth 12-month apprenticeship where new SBA talent can absorb the skills needed to be proficient in our business with one-on-one interaction, Fortune 100 level e-learning at their fingertips, and a roundtable of SBA experts on standby to provide technical assistance. If you'd like to participate, visit shatterbox.io and sign up to receive more information. It kicks off this fall and space is limited. I'll leave a link in the show notes. Now on with the show. I just want to start by thanking you for coming, Paul. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Glad to be here.
Yeah. So I want to just start with your background, right? And give everyone an idea for kind of like where you come from and specifically like how did you get into SBA lending?
Okay. So I've been in banking since a week after my 16th birthday. I was a bank teller for Wells Fargo, branch manager, district manager, moved up, was a district manager for a large institution for quite a while. And I said, you know what? I'm getting tired of this. And so I went into business banking. And as soon as I went into business banking, and that was probably about 12, 13 years ago, SBA, it's been that fun. I always like the little puzzles that you have to try to kind of figure out. And that's what SBA lending is. And so that's, so for the last 12, 13 years, that's what I've been doing is really focusing on SBA lending. And I've enjoyed it. And I'm in my dream job now, to be frank.
That's awesome. And so were you in a business banking role where it was like dabbling in SBA, or did you go straight from business banking only to just go right into SBA? Like, how did that work?
Dabbling. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's kind of, I did a lot of conventional. I did some small stuff and then went to another institution and did bigger stuff. And then so just as times goes on, I started my deal size started getting larger and larger and conventional and SBA. And then one of the institutions that I went and worked for, they're like, hey, we want you to start a 7A program. And I'm like, okay. I started a small business banking division at a old California-based bank that's no longer around. And so that kind of gave me a lot of those skills that I needed in order to build a division and everything. So between the SBA skills and building a small business division, it's been perfect.
Yeah, still hard to do, right? Build an SBA department.
Yeah.
So that was that 3 shops ago or last
That
shop?
was 2 shops ago is when I started I started the SBA division, and then the shop before that was when I started the small business banking division.
When you start an SBA division, where do you even start?
Guidance. Just trying to create a document, some front end guidance, not policy, but guidance, and starting with that and just being like, does the senior management really want to do SBA? Right. And so between those 2 things, like, as I'm starting to develop this, are you sure? Because keep in mind, I'm still selling stuff on the side, but I'm still also building this. And so it was very interesting to see, every institution has their credit box, right? And a lot of them are very conservative, and a lot of them are just like, let's go. And this one was a conservative one, and that's okay. You got to start somewhere. But working with them and just, this is a business acquisition deal, $1 million in goodwill. Good, bad, where are you at? Like, here's the deal. Are we going to do it or not? And it's kind of building them and showing them that the process works. They had some previous bad experiences with SBA where they didn't pay the guarantee. Well, duh, because they probably didn't do it right. And so then they just kind of had that negative look on SBA. But then again, over time, teaching them and all of that, and building the program was tough. It was so tough. But it was something I oddly enjoyed.
Yeah. What kind of staffing do you need to start up an SBA department? Because everyone does it a little differently, right?
Oh my gosh, absolutely. So in the first shop, it was me, myself, and I.
Really?
I was the BDO. I was also the underwriter. I mean, it was a small community bank. So, I mean, it was doing a lot of things. And so as time goes on, I was training other people to do SBA docs and training other underwriters on how SBA underwriting works. And then at the shop that I'm in now, having all of that and being able to hire people, hire an underwriter, hire a processor, hire BDOs, and having that has just been, a blessing because I have an amazing team, most of them with SBA background. So it was very plug and play. And we're getting ready to grow, and we're going to be hiring more, and
that's awesome.
It's awesome.
So you really like got to figuring it out at that last shop where you were doing everything. I think that's so valuable to be able to do everything and then go out to market versus BDOs that are going out to market having never done anything else.
Well, and that's what I think a big problem is in industry out there is they say, hey, person who does is a big producer, I want you to come over here and build a division. They're a salesperson. So, and you got to be able, especially with SBA, you got to have that, the SOP in your background. You kind of have to understand the processing side as well. And again, that institution absolutely helped me being able to do all of those different jobs. It made it easier for me to hire people because I can train them. I can train them my way, not somebody else's way. It's been
so what were the big challenges in terms of like you just said, there are a lot of BDOs, high producing BDOs that are going in starting shops right now that I'm seeing. Mm-hmm. So what do you think the pitfalls that they're going to encounter having never done operations, having never had to manage a portfolio, having never had to manage an audit? What do you think their biggest challenges are going to be?
I think their first couple of challenges are going to be their first or second SBA audit. Is going to be a real challenge. The institution I work for, there was, previous person, there was some deals that just, we had to kind of work through, et cetera. They're fine now, but again, salesperson running the role. So, we've had quite a bit of expedited growth here within the last year. So I'm just waiting for Eddie and his team to come knocking at my door.
100%.
And that's okay. I'm ready for it. I do third-party audits to make sure that my files are in track, that my policies and my guidelines are in place, and making that extra step. And I think that's the key is I have a great salesperson who's bringing in the deals. I'm scrubbing them, making sure they're good, making sure they fit the box. Underwriters doing their job, processors doing their job. It's just a matter of having that structure in place.
Right, like checks and balances and stuff.
Absolutely. And if you don't, you're gonna have issues.
That's right. Yeah. So it's all that, and then but yeah, you did well in your prior audits.
Yes, I did very well in prior audits. There's maybe like one little finding, and it was something stupid.
You have, I mean, your LinkedIn says perfect audits.
Okay, so there's a difference between having exactly and then just having like a small little like comment.
You're graded on a tier, so you're at the
correct.
top.
I am top tier. That is correct.
So,
you caught me.
And how do you like? I would just think it's so crazy that someone with your personal branding, marketing, charismatic personality, who's also, good at the lending, working with the customer, and then you're also good at audits. Like how it's just, you wouldn't think you'd have all those skill sets.
That you're right. And when I go back into my previous positions and stuff, even before SBA, I was always the type of person, I was really good at sales and I was good at working with internal teams to make things work. Loan servicing, man, they got to be your best friend. All of those different departments within an institution, it's critical that you have great relationships with them. And most importantly, that they trust you and that you can prove to them that you know what you're doing in order for them to earn that respect and trust. And I think that's been the biggest thing. And when a new SOP comes out, I'm sitting there with a highlighter and a beer in one hand, and I'm sitting there highlighting, and this is cool.
That's funny. Well, it's so important because, we have a BDO heavy audience and a lot of BDOs, and there's a ton of BDOs out there nowadays. And, people want volume and people are hiring BDOs and they come in all sorts of shapes and sizes. And one of the things that they don't understand is that you do have to build that trust internally and also know your deal really well, because otherwise you're getting that reputation of just throwing things against the wall to see what sticks.
Yes.
And then it's really hard to succeed. You're not going to succeed basically if you have that sort of mentality as a BDO.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, the institution I work for is only in 3 states. We're not a nationwide lender. And so that obviously makes hiring and that type of stuff even a little bit more difficult, because you got to find people within your backyard and within certain, territories, et cetera. And so, with, one of my BDOs, brand new, used to be a processor, turning into a BDO. That's a big step. But again, let's take the time with this individual. Let's, they know the SOP, they understand the process. So now it's just a matter of how can I get that person in front of the right person, whether it's a broker, whether it's a, small business development center, wherever we're getting our leads. That's where, just really training and teaching them the sales side.
Don't they need to just have that? Aren't you teaching them the other stuff? Shouldn't it just be innate for them to say, I need to get in front of these people?
So those are I would consider, the top 10% of BDOs. And those are hard people to find. I am absolutely blessed to have one of them as a BDO, but then also as other BDOs, you have to kind of find them, and you have to find them at the right point of time where they're willing to move shop, et cetera. And it's much harder. And so that's going to be a process that I'm going to be going in some other markets that we're at and trying to pluck. But when you can't find somebody, you got to train them from the bottom, and there's, places like Shatterbox and that type of stuff that are doing these types of things to bring people into the industry, which is huge. But I need it now.
that's the whole problem.
And yeah.
So that's a whole nother conversation, probably for part 2. But when you're running a shop and producing, how I don't like your day is just because aren't you then you're looking at brand new deals, you're getting deals into credit, you're underwriting the deals, you're closing the deals, you're servicing the deals, you're dealing with liquidations, whatever, servicing actions. I mean, it's 8 different jobs. So how on earth would anyone be able to do that?
So the previous shop where it was mine, it was definitely, again, you had to partner with someone. I had the SBA knowledge, but maybe they had the liquidation knowledge. Well, let's stick us together and attack it. It wasn't a small community bank, so it wasn't a huge, massive portfolio when something did happen. This one is going to be obviously bigger and better, and that's why I have team members to help me on that. For like liquidations and that type stuff, I do use an LSP because I think that's, it's so critical and it's very time consuming, and clearly I don't have time for that. But definitely working with your people and in training them and getting them up. It's a long process. It's a lot of work, but I feel like now I have my team exactly kind of where I need to be, that now I can start moving on, phase 2 of world domination.
Exactly.
What can I do that's different and get more people out there?
What about going to market right now in your 3 states? You're going to market, and your team's going out to market, but you specifically, when you're going out to market, I feel like you would have such an edge, having your knowledge base and having the control you have in your shop versus the other 19 videos that are out there. But how do you convey the importance of that to a small business owner who may not realize that it's more than just the terms on the paper that you're putting out?
Boy, I would say that, obviously a lot of my personal branding, I'm out there, I'm doing videos, I'm doing that type of stuff. I'm doing a lot of public speaking in other markets that I'm about ready to go into. So I'm working with, Small Business Development Center and SCORE and brokers and that type of stuff in that area. So then when I get the business development officer for that area, I plop them in, do an introduction, I move on to the next market. So it's utilizing my sales skills, which I still enjoy selling, even though I'm doing all this other stuff. I still enjoy sales. I still prospect every day. It ain't going to go away, but I think it's to get that new business development officer ready in that market. And so I'm just going to kind of get everyone ready. Here's the BDO, and then move to the next.
Okay, that's an interesting model.
Yeah,
because that's when the hard work begins.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Absolutely. And there's a lot of overlap too, so a broker works in multiple states or whatever the case is, or, maybe I have a good relationship with one SBDC person and, obviously they introduced me to their friend in Oregon or wherever. And so it's a spider web, just like, it's a spider web of who, and it grows and your name just kind of gets out there and it just spreads.
Well, you're doing a lot to help yourself with that, with all the personal branding stuff, which I want to talk about, just because I think you do an amazing job with that. But
Thank you.
I want to wrap up this part of it because I am just curious, because you're in the market, and obviously we know, because we do SBA all the time, we know how hard it can be. We know that there's going to be challenges along the way. It's not like a mortgage, It's so different, and execution is so key, and also sometimes rare. For some lenders, because you might have inexperienced BDOs promising things that they can't deliver.
Yeah.
But do you find that the typical small business owner understands what they're coming into when they're going to get an SBA loan in terms of how difficult and complex it is? Or do they come to you just thinking like, this is like, just, I'm getting a loan for my business? Like,
I think it's a mix, but I definitely know that most clients do not understand the SBA process. And I think that's the power of social media and the power of video, is to give them some of that. And so when I first sit down with a borrower and I start talking about SBA and, I need your house and personal guarantee and all this other type stuff, they're always, like, oh, that's a lot. And I'm like, well, you know what? Here's a video link that talks about why here, and I share some of that information to educate them. And that's a helpful way to get them on board with the SBA process.
It really is. And I mean, we are probably 2 of the only video content creators in the industry.
I know. I challenge anybody. Bring it on.
But the thing is, we are putting it out there. You specifically, who can't lend nationwide, are putting it out on the internet for the entire world, to benefit from, and you're providing value, right?
100%.
And I get this, and you get this. A lot of people don't get this, but I want to talk about it. You're providing value, and you're not necessarily expecting anything in return.
100%.
You know how many people ask me, like, how do you monetize that when I put something out or create something? Can you explain why you would be giving away all this free information to people when you may not even be able to profit from it, Paul?
Why would you not? Like, I mean, honestly, I'm a huge believer of give, and the world will give back.
100%.
You know, and I think specifically of probably about a year ago, I think I was at the other shop. I got a lead through my website. I couldn't do it, so I referred it to you. I mean, and so, I mean, it's having those networks, you know. I want to help you out. You know, you're doing so much great stuff here with the SBA community. Well, I want to help you because you're helping me on my drive into work.
Exactly.
Through these podcasts,
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
and why not? Give. The world will always give back.
Well, and it works out. And so, like, you know, I've heard you on other podcasts and you talk about, you know, you have a goal.
Mm-hmm.
You don't worry about the goal. You just give it. And then for some magical reason, you hit your goal every year.
Exactly.
That's just how it works.
Absolutely. Whether it's my personal goal, my team's goal, you know, I trust my team. I have a great team. They work hard. I give them the goals. You know, we work together.
Yeah. You just focus
give,
on
baby, give.
Exactly. I really want to get into the personal branding stuff because honestly, I think your approach to it is honestly the best I've seen. By the way, did you work with a consultant on it?
No.
Really?
I just played around with myself, got in trouble enough times and called it good.
It's really good. And it's like, to me, I mean, I should let you talk because you're my guest on the podcast, but
it's okay.
You have first of all, you have a fully built out LinkedIn. Your LinkedIn is better than mine. I mean, people look at mine, like yours is better. You have more recommendations. You have it fully built out. You have the video and the little headshot. Why doesn't everyone have that?
I know, it's super cool. I saw someone else do it and I'm like, well, I got to figure that out.
It's just a 30 seconds of who you are. And
Absolutely.
It's like part of what I saw on your website and your LinkedIn is these 4 words. I like that. It's like a company creates a tagline or or core values. You've done it for yourself. What are they?
Open, approachable, credible, transparent.
Open, approachable, credible, transparent. So what when you say open, what does open mean? I'll
tell you whatever you want to know. There's people, and I think that's a big deal, is especially with SBA lending, everyone thinks it's a box, you know, or especially with any sort of lending, whether it's SBA or conventional, you know, what does the box look like? I'll freaking tell you what the box looks like. Here is what I'm looking for. This is good. This is bad. What's your credit score? I mean, like, I'm open. Like, I'll share my videos. I'll share whatever. Like,
yeah,
as long as it's not illegal.
That's good. Yeah. And disclaimer: this is our personal views.
Yeah, personal views, not those of Paul's employer.
But so that's interesting because it's like even like credit box, for example. Like I put out my credit box, and my credit box. Sure. Honestly, I look at my shop's credit box, and I decide, you know, credit box is here, and I want to be here.
Right.
And then I put that out there, which means there are things that I maybe be able to push through that I just don't want to do or mess
Correct.
with.
Absolutely.
And so I'm not afraid to say I don't want these deals.
And people are afraid to do that. Like on my contact site and even on my main thing and my little welcome little text thing, I go, I'm good at this and I'm not good at this. And I'm not, you know, startup businesses. Yeah, they're naturally hard. I financed them before, but they're not the easiest thing to do. Mm-hmm. You know, what kind of deals, you know, what industries am I in? That type of stuff. It's all kind of listed right there. Again, open.
And transparency is a good one for the entire industry. I feel like it's one of the biggest issues that we kind of have as an industry. There's not enough transparency. It's like you're the borrower. You have really no idea what's going on behind the scenes.
Absolutely.
So what's your approach on it?
So like on that one, for example, you know, sitting down with a borrower and explaining him the form, you know, and that's why, again, I have videos that explain everything because I really get tired of repeating myself. And if I have to repeat myself more than twice, I make a video. That's my rule.
Nice.
You know, but I go back to like probably one of the best customers I've had probably over all my years. I'm really good friends with this business owner. But there's something he told me several years after we started doing business together. And he goes, you know why I actually did business with you? I'm like, why? You know, I'm awesome. Like, what is it? And he's like, no, you helped me fill out the 159, the personal financial statement.
The 413.
413. Sorry, I got my numbers all. Stupid SBA. So yeah, I mean, doing the 413. So okay, like that was your that it wasn't my skills, my knowledge. It was just me helping you. It was just taking that extra time
Going the
to
extra
go
mile.
through it. Yeah.
Exactly.
All
That
right.
is a really good takeaway, because most, especially the high producing BDOs, which, if you wanted to go into becoming a national BDO, you could probably easily be a top producer in the
Oh, totally.
country volume wise. But you get there and you get really busy, and then a lot of the BDOs just are like, they don't even want, because their capacity is being reached, and they're just one person, they are going to send you the docs and they'll say, call me when you filled out the docs.
That's right.
So that actually does mean a lot when you have someone of your caliber taking the time to do that and help people. Huge value add there.
Absolutely. I remember my main BDO that I have right now, who I absolutely adore. He submitted his first mileage expense, and I'm like, whoa, what the heck? He goes to every single meeting. He goes to closings. It's just 100% customer service, and I'm like, that is why I love that guy.
It's a huge distinguishing factor from the national SBA lenders that are not in market.
Exactly.
So do you meet in person a lot with
I
folks?
do with
and
mine.
Have you?
I have, sometimes if it's in a different state, etc., I kind of have to, use more of my videos to kind of educate them, or we do it on a, Teams call or something like that. It's a little bit harder, but again, once I get more BDOs out in our rest of our market, then that's what I'm going to train them to do too. All the mileage.
And what is your core market? Like, where do you?
Washington State, Oregon, and Idaho.
But you live in Washington.
I live in Washington. Yeah.
And what's the town called?
Tacoma-ish. So it's kind of south of Seattle.
Okay.
Yeah. So me and my entire team are at home.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So like the transparency part, as a, industry, it's, I guess, falls on the BDO to kind of explain the processes. But I'm just curious if there's anything else that can be done from the lender standpoint to improve transparency. And when I say that, I was like, where are you at in the process is like an interesting question, because in my head, I know the process. And if you are, whether you're in, week 2 of underwriting or week 1 of closing, how do you know where you are relative to the closing date? And I guess it's just communication, but I'm always wondering, like, technology wise, like, is there anything that can really boost transparency? Have you thought of anything like that?
I have.
Really?
I absolutely have. So at my last shop, the CRM that I utilized, every single time I went in, I updated my pipeline, and I'm a geek, so I kind of developed a lot of this type stuff. But every single time I change its status from whether it's, pre-underwriting to underwriting, it automatically sends an email to the borrower and the referral agent and says, your loan is now in X status. This is what we have as our closing date. This is when we're estimated to have done. And so I just kind of set it up where each part of the process, they get an email. We ordered your appraisal today. It is due back on X. And it's all through automated emails. I highly recommend it. And the entire service cost me $19 a month.
What else is that CRM doing?
So, it keeps track of everything. Every institution has a CRM, or should have a CRM. If they don't, you go out and you get one yourself. And that's exactly what I did. You do what you do. You find a way to make it work.
Do what you do.
Oh God. See, clearly I'm here at Nagel. It's already burned into my mind.
CRM, do what you do.
Do what you do.
That's funny. Okay, so yeah, that's all. That's the thing. It's all connected. The go-to-market, the branding, you back it up, and that's the thing. Like, a lot of people are surprised often when they come to me and they know I've been putting out stuff, and then when you're marketing better than everyone, but then you're also executing better than everyone, and then it's like, so you have both, and then that's awesome, I feel like. And
that builds credibility.
And then you're more approachable. Okay.
Well, you're right. That's exactly it.
Well, the approachable thing, when I hear that, I think of like you're willing to talk to somebody. If somebody comes to you, you're willing to talk to them. You have time for them. You make time for them. that sort of thing.
Even for the silliest of requests, take the time.
I mean, yeah,
It's hard.
It's hard, and I mean, at some point, it's impossible because if 100 people call you a day,
true,
it's impossible. But if you have the time, it's good too.
Sure.
But if you get back to everyone too, it's like just get back to people. And like I've returned every phone call and email I've ever seen. Right.
Thank you. And that's a huge piece right there. Is, you know, people, when I call them back, they'll always say, "Thanks for calling back," and I have the same response every single time. What were my other options? I mean, seriously, of course I'm going to call you back. Like that. Why would I not call you back? But there's so many people that don't, or just delete an email, or just freaking respond. How hard is that?
I mean, marketing and like event and someone trying to sell me a list or something.
Well, okay, those I don't
respond to those. But if it's actually related to what I do and how I can help people, like those people seeking out my services,
absolutely,
every single one, and within 24 hours, if not same day, honestly, for me, a lot of the time.
Absolutely.
And then even like you get a package, got it, you know?
It's so simple.
It's so simple. And people say to me, like, same thing. Thanks for calling me back so fast. If I call them back within like 2 hours, which, you know, if I can, I will.
Absolutely.
But then the other thing I get is if I call someone after 5:30, which 5:30 is not the cutoff in the real world, but I mean, it's
That's true.
I don't, you shouldn't be burning yourself out and all like that. But like, you know, you can return a call at 6:30 and people shouldn't be shocked.
Or at least send them a text message saying, "I got your call. I'll call you tomorrow morning."
Honestly, when I really look back at my success, calling people back and returning phone calls and emails is like up there with why I've been successful.
Good. I'm not surprised. And
yeah.
Please, anyone listening, that's the number one thing you have to do, period.
And don't wait a week. And it's amazing that we're actually having to say this right now, but
absolutely. And just going back to old school, you know, thinkings sometimes, you know, yeah, we have technology now. Technology is great and it's only going to get better, but you got to still keep some of those key things, you know, in there. Call people back.
It's really gets down to just the core of it all. And then but also the consistency, like especially with the content. So another part of your brand is producing video content. You do webinars, right? And then just videos and you're consistent about it and you put out a lot. It works a lot because people like me from literally the opposite side of the country know who you are that would have never known you.
Yep.
And you're here because of all this stuff you're doing. And it's probably driven a lot of the success you've had, the opportunities, you know, 100%. Doors that have opened. So, all right, moving on. I'm just kidding. Well, the only thing is like, I want to acknowledge it, but also everyone knows video content is like kind of the most effective, or maybe they don't know, but it's the most effective thing you can like do, like put out there.
100%.
30, 60-second clips mostly, but also explainer videos that go 5, 10, 15 minutes.
Yes.
People, because like if I need to learn how to change a light bulb, I go to YouTube and I'm going to just
absolutely
sit there and watch. And so it's the same type of deal.
Yep.
But a lot of people don't want to go in front of the camera, or a lot of people say they want to do it and they just never do it. Yeah. Were you always like a camera guy?
No, not not really. I was at first I was always like, well, yeah, I want to be absolutely perfect. But you know what? People don't want to watch perfect. They want to watch real life. So if I screw up in the middle of something, I'm human, just like you. You know, we're gonna make mistakes. And I think getting over that, you know, at the end of the day, you're talking to yourself through a video, you know, that's it. You know, you don't have to have, you know, $400 mics. You can go to eBay or use your EarPods, your Apple Pods, you know, whatever the case is, just get the content out there. You know, I mean, one of my best videos on my YouTube channel is how to fill out a 1919.
Wow.
And I was shocked when I saw, and I was just magically going through of how many views I got. And it's over like 2,000, I think. And I'm just like, are you kidding me? Like,
that's amazing.
That just proves how much demand there is for information.
You know what's really amazing? That somebody actually knows how to fill out the 1919.
That is true. That is 100% true.
I'm gonna, as soon as I go home, I'm gonna watch that video.
Right.
I've been dying to know. What's an EPCOC? I don't know.
Exactly.
Wow, that's awesome, man. So, and then you built out the personal website.
Yeah, I did that about I did that about 8-9 years ago. And
Yeah.
Every institution wants, I'm probably going to ruffle some marketing feathers. Oh well. But every institution, if you're going to talk on our behalf, you need to do X, Y, Z, and that's right. That's why I haven't said my organization's name during this podcast. Because if I want to reference a website that gives the information, and if I can help you, great. My phone number's on there. And, if you're within my 3 states. And I think that's the power of the website, and really kind of understanding what your marketing wants and what your marketings look for, and be respectful of them and be like, okay, that's what you want. Perfect. No problem. So I will do it through Paul T. Long, and I'll do it that way.
Yeah. And then you deliver results and everyone's happy and then people see it. And it's really not that crazy of an idea.
It's not. Absolutely not. And, my institution now, they're like, oh, we should do some videos and such. Yeah, you should. Like, I got all the content.
Exactly. You've been on like 5 or 10 podcasts?
Something like that. Yeah.
And if you were a national lender, it would be like, 20 times better technically in terms of lead generation, right?
Oh, for sure. 100%.
But you're the one doing it. You're the one taking the initiative, not the 1,000, national lenders. And maybe they're not all qualified to get on the podcast, but some are.
Mm-hmm.
But you're the one doing it. You're taking the initiative. You're doing the personal branding. You're making the videos. You're going the extra mile on all these different things. And I think that's just awesome. I just want to congratulate you on that.
Thank you.
And going back to the personal brand, you also, didn't you create like some sort of in-person event?
I did. It's actually coming up next week. So I created the I know, just something else to do. The South Sound Business Summit. And so this is our 8th year, where I started out. First year was just kind of, let's get, 5 experts in a room and let's do an hour lunch per day and see how many people show up. People showed up. All right. I guess I'll do it again, and then do it again, and do it again. I've had Mike Michalowicz on as part of the summit. If you know him, the book Profit First.
Oh, yeah.
And so, he's been a part of the summit.
Wow.
I've had government officials. I've had amazing speakers that just have, just amazing stories. Not just, there's leadership. There's how to do things within your business. Getting a lawyer up there to talk about certain things. Yeah, it's not sexy, but you know what? Business owners need to hear it. Mm-hmm. Insurance, that type stuff. And of course, I'll go up there and speak about SBA lending conveniently, right? And it's been great. COVID kind of took the sales out of me a little bit with that, because it was such an in-person event. This is actually our first year going back to in-person. Running an event is hard. And mm-hmm. It is not for the faint of heart. If you think a podcast is hard, try running a live event.
Oh yeah.
It's absolutely brutal. But I'm very thankful of all the people that have attended over the years. And again, it's not for me to make money. I donate every single bit of profit to that back to a small business organization. It's not even about my marketing. It's not about me. Give, and you will receive. It's just another avenue.
It goes back to that. And I mean, I fully get it. Like, I see that, and maybe some people would be like, why would you do all this extra work and then not make any money? But I see it. I know exactly what you're doing. And it's just like, there's a need. I could fill it, let's do this, and 100% understand. And I think that's just another one of those things that's really incredible that you're doing. And I've done stuff like that too. In fact, I did like the BDO retreat, for example, right?
That was brilliant.
And I was, when I was chairman of Flagel, and we have a board and a event planner. So I don't want to take any credit, but like, I was there, and you plan a 300 person event. So, I know how hard it is. And, it is, and it's kind of a lot of risk too sometimes when you have to make certain deposits and stuff.
Absolutely. It is a
and then
personal
what if nobody comes?
100%. Welcome to the last 8 years. And every year afterwards, I'm like, why did I do this? Like, maybe this is the last year. And I always tend to do it.
It's so stressful leading up to the event.
It absolutely is. But, I challenge anyone listening to this podcast, Start in your backyard. Even if you're a
100%.
national lender, start in your backyard. Do something creative. You know,
I like that. Yeah.
why not?
I may go back and do it.
There you go. Absolutely.
One more thing I need to just
Yeah,
put on the plate. But I like the idea, and I'm big on in person. Now I don't know if you've done this, but I'm gonna give you an idea.
Okay.
You gotta take the content from it, film when you're there.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta get a videographer there. You're gonna be able to record all your stuff, and then you're gonna just slice and dice that, and that's more LinkedIn content. Are you doing it?
I am. I have 8 years of all the video content.
Oh wow.
And it's all kind of on YouTube, etc. And so for content wise, absolutely. And I've plucked out pieces before, and I've done that. That's also a lot of work, but you're right. It's kind of free content.
It's more content.
Absolutely.
And then it shows you up there on the stage with the mic.
That's the power. That is the power.
This guy gets it. Todd, are you paying attention?
It's not about me, but I am the moderator.
I love it. Here talking to you, meeting you for the first time. We've talked, but I fully feel like you get it. You're like, I think it's so good for the industry to have people like you in it. Because you can think outside the box. You're doing the right thing on all ends. You're helping the customer. You're keeping the integrity of the program with your perfect audits.
That's right.
And you're educating the public, which that to me is like a passion of mine, and it's a big area that we need more education out there because these people don't know what they're doing. No offense, but
no.
It's not their fault. It's our fault for not putting out the education.
That's right.
Like in the 1919. So like so since you are an expert and you get it, your compass is pointing in the right direction, and we have the audience of the SBA industry, and there's a lot of BDOs, and it's BDO heavy, I think, on the audience.
Sure.
What are the what other missed opportunities are you seeing? Like I want to know, like, kind of like what you see other SBA lenders getting wrong. What's the missed opportunity that folks are, whether it's just because they don't know or they're lazy, but like how can people improve? That's what I'm trying to get at. You know what I mean?
To kind of go back a little bit, I mean, I was raised by my family who was just like, work hard, things will happen. And I think, sometimes the generations are a little bit lazier, and I'm not saying that all millennials are lazy. I'm not saying that at all. Okay,
I'm a millennial, so good.
I'm too right on the border. But still, there's a lot of people I know that just aren't willing to take that extra step and think about. I challenge anyone just to sit back, think about your process you're doing now. What are you doing right now, and what are you frustrated about? What's annoying? Is it, man, underwriting's always, asking me or giving me, crap for this. Okay. Well, how can you work with that underwriter to understand where they're at? How can you get on their side? When you're interviewing a customer or a member, is there certain questions you keep forgetting to ask, and your underwriter's asking? Well, maybe you make up a little form and fill it out for yourself. Be creative to try to find a way to make yourself stand out. I mean, you don't have to do a podcast. You don't have to do a video. I mean, you can, of course, but figure out what's broken in your individual system and fix it. Just doing that one little thing, I think it changes a ton. If it takes you 2 days to call someone back, then to make it one. If you're just deleting emails from people, he had started a business, whatever, delete. No, call them back, or heck, at minimum, build maybe an email template.
Exactly what I was thinking.
And just say, hey, thanks for reaching out. Blah, 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 blah. Here's a few videos, et cetera. And if you want more information, give me a call back. And sometimes it just kind of flushes out from there. Just find ways to make your process and you as an individual BDO better. And that is what's going to just try to be creative.
I think
it's as simple as that.
I think it's an excellent answer. And, we have all the tools now to do it because you have an iPhone.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. And all the software, you can do, anything you want. You can create You can create anything on, Canva,
Mhm.
Loom. You can teach people on Loom.
Oh, that's right. That's a whole nother thing that people should do. Those video emails
Right.
are
I'm
huge.
hearing more about that.
Yep, I play with that.
You talked about one on a podcast you were on
I did.
digital banking.
That's right. Yep, and I still on all my emails. There's my video. Hi.
I put a video in my email a couple of years ago that explains the process. It's like the SBA explainer video or something.
Absolutely.
Like that. And so here's one for you. You have a checklist and you have a closer, let's say, and the borrower is sending the wrong stuff, and this is like always happens, and it's like why doesn't the borrower know the lease has to be 10 years and not 9 years and 9 months? And why is the entity name spelt wrong? And I'm having to redo this stuff and go back and forth, and then that's every loan forever.
Right.
So your solution is like, well, maybe get a creative way to fix that.
Right. It's not the borrower's fault. It's your fault. How did you make it easy for them?
Yeah, like, so an example of that, let's say on the lease, instead of just requesting lease,
right?
What are the 3 things you're always having to tell them on the lease that's wrong?
Right.
And put that in there. Or make a video.
Or make a flyer or something like that just says, hey, when filling out a lease, this is what we're looking for an EPCOC.
I mean, really what I'm envisioning now, and I mean, we're just going to give it away because we're giving away value.
Go for it. Absolutely.
So I'll look into the camera. So the checklists and the portals, every item, right? You log into a portal. People are going to portals.
Yep.
And then, right there, you just click, boom, video. Paul pops up.
Boom. Oh, how cool would that be?
And I want that. I want, like, these software companies that are all exhibiting out there. I want them to do that. And I do want it to be you. I want it to be Paul coming up. Like, I do a licensing deal with your name or something.
But how cool would that be to just even have it like white branded, where it's you or the BDO or the SBA sales manager, whatever the case is.
So cool.
Going through. I mean, it's that personal touch, the power of video.
Dude, it's blowing my mind right now because I'm just envisioning every checklist call I've ever had.
Right.
So why am I sitting on 2 checklist calls a week with my team saying the same thing over and over? That's a video.
If you say anything more than twice.
The rule of Paul.
That's right. Absolutely.
It's our new policy.
Have you used that? I have not, but I will be stealing that. It's the new policy.
Well, I think we got to leave it there, Paul. So I appreciate it, man.
Thanks so much for your time. This has been great.
All right, that's it for this week. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast so you never miss an episode of The Art of SBA Lending. And if you have any feedback or suggestions, email me at ray@artofsba.com. Until next time, ta-ta.